Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today Untitled Packers podcast. I'm here with Bron, as always, and we're back to discuss the Packers' win over the Chicago Bears on Sunday that clinched them the number one seed in the NFC. And later on, we'll be joined by a breakout star from the Chicago Bears game, Mr. Dominique Dafney. He'll be joining us to talk about his role in the offense and how he feels as the Packers look to make their playoff run. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about this game. And there's no game to look forward to this week. How about that? We got the only bye week in the NFC. Bron, how are we feeling about that?
I'm feeling great. The one thing that I'll say about this team is that, every year we talk about, this is it for us. This year we're going to do it. But this year feels like our year more than any other year. And I say that because of how well the quarterback's playing, because of how well the defense is coming along, and just the vibe of the team overall. And, I can't wait to talk about this game with you, Griff. It was a great one.
Yes, it really does feel like the Packers' year. They just week in, week out. What more can you say about this offense? They look so efficient every week, and we're really taking it for granted. Rodgers had another 4-touchdown game. I feel like no one even noticed. No one even talks about this stuff anymore because he's just doing it every week. 48 touchdowns on the year for Rodgers. Was hoping he could get to 50 somehow, but I'll take 48, 51 total. So that's nice. But what can you say about Rodgers? He's going to win the MVP, his third of his career, and I'm just so happy to see him playing back at the elite level that we got used to as Packer fans. But this offense, it looks like they're the best offense in the NFC. That was clear, maybe a month ago, and it's much more clear now. It's hard to argue at this point, and they get the bye week. They deserve the bye week because I believe they're the best team in the NFC.
We truly are. If you look at everything we've done, and the way we ended the season, especially, it would have felt wrong if another team had ended up with that number one seed. Just because of what we were able to do, like I said. And this game, it was a statement coming after a statement win against a playoff team as well in the Titans. So these two games back-to-back really solidified, I think, who we are as a team and where we're headed.
If we would have found a way to lose to Chicago and that Seattle ends up with the number one seed, that would have just been that would have been so pathetic. It would have felt like a wasted year just because we're clearly better than Seattle. I mean, we're watching Seattle struggle against CJ Beathard and the 49ers having to pull out late fourth quarter comebacks down 2 scores. They look like a mess. The Saints, I don't know what you make of them. Then the Rams, they look like a mess. It's really the Packers, the Saints, and the Bucks at this point, I'd say, are the real NFC contenders. And I think at this point we're better than all those teams, especially in Green Bay. I don't think either of those teams are gonna be able to play as well as they can in a dome in Green Bay. Especially Drew Brees, his noodle arm. Tom Brady, he's pretty used to the cold weather, but I don't know about the rest of that Bucks roster. So I'm maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I'm really excited about the Packers' chances in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel that way, especially, like I said, the way we're playing and like you mentioned as well, the way other teams are playing. You feel good, and you should. But, I'm excited, Griff. Let's talk about this game where we really handled business in a big way against a team that we beat, a hungry team. There were concerns about a potential, a rebound for them. They've been playing hot. And we go out and play extremely well on both sides of the ball. And, it was a great win.
It really was. It was just like I said at the top of the show, more of what we've seen from this offense, and we're just repeating ourselves every week because every week they come out and they're great, and it looks like no defense can stop them. And this Bears defense, that's a good defense. People like to talk about how the Packers didn't have any competition this year. The Bears defense is pretty good against most NFL offenses, and we made them look like toast. Rodgers started the game 10 of 10, 155 yards and 3 touchdowns. He would have started the game, 12 of 12 for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns if MVS was a better catcher of the football. But that's been eating away at me all week, that fact.
Yeah.
12 of 12, over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. That would have been like one of those iconic stat lines that everyone shares on Twitter. Like Brady, Randy Moss, they all have those stat lines.
Yeah, I mean, look, with MVS, and we can get into this now, but he's got to make those plays. He would have had a real spectacular performance if he was able to get a second touchdown and add another 50-plus yards to that. Of course, he made that one excellent play by Rodgers where Rodgers floats a ball over Danny Trevathan and goes all the way, 72-yard touchdown. MVS puts up the peace sign, and it's over. And that one was similar, that up the sideline that he just dropped, and you thought he had it in his hands looking at the TV copy, and when after the ball hits his hands, it looks like he caught it, and then you see the ball fall out, and it's just so reminiscent of some of the plays that he's had this year, where the ball just he can't come down with some of these catches that are right in his hands, and of course it's a problem. Um, he's just gonna have to make those plays, and we're gonna have to hope that it doesn't come back to hurt us if one of those does fall through his hands once again.
It's just it's such a roller coaster with this guy, man. It's a roller coaster week to week. It's a roller coaster snap to snap. It's like so on his first touchdown, his touchdown, the Bears sent a blitz. They left Danny Trevathan on him, their slowest linebacker, to cover our fastest receiver, and everyone's like, "Why would they do that? What are the Bears thinking?" It's like letting a center shoot a three in basketball. It's like, oh, let him shoot, let him shoot. We'll take our chances because there's a good chance he's going to drop it, and it came back to bite us later on in the game. And when he dropped that pass, I was not a happy man. I was pretty upset. But it's like it's so hard with him because he's open so often. He's faster than pretty much anyone else on the field. He's gonna get open. So I don't know if you can just stop throwing to him. If he's gonna catch, he catches most of them. So I don't know what you just got to live with it. You got to live with it. He's gonna drop some, and it's as aggravating as it is. He did come up with the big play on Sunday. So uh, it hasn't lost us any games so far this season, but it's just so annoying every week when this happens.
If he could just come up with some of those catches that he drops, it seems like he drops some of those really deep ones that look like walk-in touchdowns. Those are the ones he seems to drop most. If he could just catch those, I mean, you're talking about a superstar level player in this league if he makes those plays. So we'll just have to hope he can grow sooner rather than later, especially with the playoffs approaching and every game, every play matters more and more. We're just going to have to hope that he can get through what he's going through right now, and uh, we're going to have to. Everybody's going to have to play just a little bit better, grow a little each day, because we're going to have to face tougher and tougher teams each way down the road. And of course, it doesn't get any easier from here on out.
He's had 8 drops on the season. I don't want to know how many yards we've lost on those drops, and yards after catch too. That's probably big because I know he's had a few crossers this season where he just can't hang on to it, where he's got nothing but green grass in front of him, and it's all mental. It's definitely just mental. Rodgers talks about it all the time. It's just he's got to. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if there's any fixing it at this point.
And speaking of those drops that you talked about with MVS, we saw some drop picks on Sunday too, and those obviously have to go in the other direction for us. Kevin King and Chandon Sullivan, both of those guys dropped interceptions from Mitch Trubisky in the game on Sunday. If the Packers want to stop good offensive teams, they'll have to take advantage of those throws, especially from the elite quarterbacks that don't make many of them. They're going to have to take advantage of the ones that do fall into their laps, and to drop those, that's crucial stuff. There were many opportunities to get turnovers on Sunday that didn't happen because of penalties or dropped interceptions or miscommunications, things like that. Moving forward, these guys have to come up with these big plays. That'll put us in the best position to win, and we're going to need that.
Yeah, for a long time, it's felt like the Packers are just they got like the worst receiving defensive backs in the league because how many drop picks do we have on the season? It feels like every week we're dropping some, and even our best guys, they drop a lot too. Like Darnell had to drop one last week, but Kevin King, it's like on that drop pick, it's like he didn't expect the throw to be that bad because he's not even looking for it, and it's just in his lap and he can't hang on to it. But that would have been they scored a field goal right after that, so that would have been and then Chandon dropped one on the ensuing drive of the opening second half, I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
So that would
the fourth down.
That would have been like a 10-point swing right there. Not that it mattered, but you're right. Against better quarterbacks, that could definitely be an issue. And I don't just like put them on the jugs machine, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what you do about that. As everyone always says, they play defense for a reason, but it's very, very irritating.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of irritating, we haven't mentioned this yet. Remember the first play of the game, and I'm not talking about on defense, and I'm not even talking about on offense. The first play of the game, the kickoff,
Oh,
special
boy.
teams. The first play of the game, Cordero Patterson attempts to take the kickoff at the 1 yard line, out of bounds, similar to what Ty Montgomery did. where he
Randall
steps
Cobb
out of
before him.
bounds, Randall Cobb before him, steps out of bounds, and then touches the ball to make it a kickoff out of bounds, which would put them at the 40-yard line. It was clear as day on TV, live watching it the first time, and on the replay that he clearly touched the ball before he steps out of bounds. And the referees just for some reason gave them the ball at the 40. So then Matt LaFleur throws the challenge flag on the kickoff, which probably hasn't happened too often, if ever, in a game. And the referees called the penalty, and they looked at the replay and reviewed it, and they still stuck with the original call, even though I don't know about you, Griff, but to me, it was clear as day that he had touched the ball for close to a full second with green grass in between his cleat and the out of bounds line. And it was just a true shocking situation for that to go down. And luckily, it didn't have an impact on the result of the game. But them getting a free 39 yards on the first play of the game, that was irritating.
That was beyond irritating. I have no idea what the refs were looking at because the two angles we saw on TV, it was like so obvious. He's in bounds and then he touches it and then he steps out of bounds. I don't know what the refs were seeing. I don't know if that was one of the things where it's too close to call, so they stick with the ruling on the field. I don't know, but that was like, what are they thinking? But I didn't. It didn't bug me too much, for one, because Mitch Trubisky stinks and I had no faith that he could score even with a 60-yard field, and two, it means that Bears fans can whine about the refs, which they've been doing for like 2 years now. They think that we pay the refs, so it's like, oh, I guess we didn't pay him this week.
Yeah. I definitely, looking like at the beginning of the game, it was one of those things where the Bears were hot. They're hungry. They're coming in looking to win, looking to, you know, try to beat up on a team that nobody thinks they're going to have a chance against. And for that to happen was kind of just like setting, I thought it was setting them up for the chance to gain momentum and never look back. Luckily, and of course, they got that touchdown on the first drive. So, yeah, of course, when Rodgers got the ball, it was pretty much over from there. But you never want to give a team any hope, especially at the beginning of a game like that, to where they're going to have a lot easier opportunity to score. Um, and that was, for me, that was just something that was, that's things like that is what has been costing us these chances to get to the Super Bowl. Of course, the NFC Championship game, all these different things, Hail Mary, things like that. Those things are the crucial parts of why we haven't really made it back to the Super Bowl. And if we can avoid those this year, we'll be in a lot better shape.
Yeah, it's just the fluky little stupid things, maybe not directly related to the bad calls, but just stupid, annoying things. You're right, do tend to lose us a lot of games, but that feels like the formula that's gone on a lot of games this season, where the defense opening drive gives up a double-digit play drive, they go the whole field and score a touchdown, but then the offense gets the ball and does the same thing. So after that first touchdown, it was kind of like, okay, I've seen this happen before. I'm not too worried. And then what do you know? The offense gets the ball back. There was two possessions the entire first quarter. That's happened before this season for sure. It's more rare to see from someone like Mitch Trubisky. But speaking of Mitch Trubisky, his face just annoys me. It's just that the fact that Bears fans think this guy is a good quarterback when I don't know what games they're watching. I don't know if they're watching different games. I think they just have orange colored glasses on.
He's
Because
probably he's probably good for what they've been having over the years. So
you know what? You're right. You're right. He's probably is he better than Jay Cutler? No, he's
nah,
not.
I don't think so.
He's not better than Jay Cutler. But it's like all he can do is hit the check down, hit the quick out in the flat. That's it. He can't actually make a throw. He's not a quarterback. If we're gonna leave someone open, he's gonna hit him. And it's like they're crossing the street 10 times to go 30 yards down the field. So eventually this is gonna catch up to them. And then all the fourth and shorts. Oh my god, it was so irritating watching them on offense. It's literally their script on offense was move 3 yards at a time and then convert on 4th and 1. And it was even more irritating that we couldn't stop it on all those 4th and 3rd and shorts. But it's like it's not a winning formula in offense, and I knew that it wasn't going to be successful for them at the end of the day, and it wasn't. But these Bears fans, man, I don't know why they talk themselves into Mitch Trubisky every year.
They don't have much of a choice, considering they're pretty much stuck with him up until maybe this offseason. He's a free agent, but they haven't had great quarterback play, obviously. over the years, and they're trying to hang on to every thread they've got. But I do want to talk about I do want to talk about another. We're getting the negative stuff out of the way because there was a ton of good stuff that we saw on Sunday. But the one special teams mistake it was a bit of a big one at the time when Tavon Austin fielded a punt near the 10 that he probably should have just let bounce and ended up fumbling after a stop from the Packers defense, which gave the Bears another 3 points. So. Um, to me, when I'm talking about Tavon Austin, I think that was his first negative play in Green Bay. So you're going to excuse it, but like that kickoff penalty, it wasn't very costly for us in the end. Um, but I think that's just something they'll have to correct. Austin will have to make the correction. Of course, Sean Menengo will have to try to do something as a coach this week in the bye week, and and hope that it isn't an issue come playoff time.
Yeah, it's just another special teams blunder that we've seen this season. Mason Crosby is carrying this special teams unit on his back. He really is, because everything else around him is just chaos, pure chaos. Like Tavon Austin, the guy we bring in to do this, you're the punt returner. We're supposed to rely on you, and he fumbles. I can't kill him for it. It happens. Fumbles happen. They're mostly random, but it's just this special teams. It's something going wrong every week, but. Luckily, it wasn't too big of a deal, and I think we were able to get the ball back shortly after that, creating a turnover on defense. Jair Alexander stripped a ball off of Cole Kmet, so it was a nice little trade off there.
Yeah, we were able to get that turnover. That I thought it was a field goal, but yeah, I think we did get the ball right back, which was good. And then, of course, the great thing about this team and Matt LaFleur as a coach is you saw the first play of that drive. They give it to Tavon Austin on a quick out, on a shoot from the hip type of throw from Rodgers. I like to call it shoot from the hip type of throw. Little screen to Tavon Austin, quick throw,
Did you
and
come
get
up
his
with that?
confidence back up. What'd you say?
Did you come up with that? Shoot
Yeah,
from the hip.
that's what I call it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Tavon, he's an effective piece on offense, and I think as the season goes on, as we get into the playoffs, I like to think that LaFleur's got something in the back pocket for Tavon, some kind of little fake screen wheel route up the sideline where no one
I
covers him, and
agree.
it's a
Yeah,
touchdown.
yeah.
I hope so, because like you said last week, yeah, all these coaches, they definitely have plays that they save for the playoffs, that they save for these big games. Think of the Philly special, Philadelphia 2017 Super Bowl. So I like to think that Tavon, he's got something. LaFleur's got something for Tavon, but right now Tavon, he's like a little Tyler Irvin. He's supplemented what we lost in Tyler Irvin pretty perfectly, and he's okay on most of the returns. But that fumble was pretty bad, and I'm hoping we get to see more of him in the offense as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. I think he brings a lot to the offense because he is one of those dynamic speed guys, faster than Tyler Irvin. And we talked about how he's doing a lot of the behind the line of scrimmage stuff. I don't know how much route running he's actually doing downfield, which I don't think very much. But having him as a potential guy that, like you said, could either run wheel routes out of the backfield off of that fake screen motion stuff, or even just line up in the slot and run some routes too. Having that is going to be valuable to that versatility, the illusion of complexity that Matt LaFleur always talks about for the offense. So I think that could be useful for us.
Yeah, teams are gonna bite on that fake screen stuff. They already are. They're when they see Tavon in motion, they're flying to him. He definitely stresses out the linebackers when he's in the backfield, and so it feels like it's too easy just sending him up the sideline. But hopefully we see that in the near future, because we know the speed he has. We know he's a dynamic receiver, and we don't really have any other deep threats outside of MVS. So, and we cannot always rely on Valdez Scantling. So hopefully Tavon brings more of that to the offense in the playoffs.
All right, so let's talk about more of this positive stuff. Starting with, of course, your 2020 MVP, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and he was excellent once again. 4 touchdowns on 19 of 24 passes, with a 147.9 rating, close to perfect. 240 yards, that's right around the middle of the road for Rodgers, and
Ten
they're
yards per
becoming a
attempt.
weekly thing. Yep, that and the fact that he's not throwing much and still getting that kind of yardage, still getting 4 touchdowns. We don't have to make him throw 45 times a game like in years past. It's really incredible. That's an underrated part of what we're doing on offense. And these numbers, it's just becoming a weekly thing. Rodgers now looks like he secured the MVP for sure. And just the throws that stood out for me were those ones on those 4 touchdown passes in particular. All of them were just really special throws from Aaron, and this was another game where you carry all that momentum that he's had. He carried it into this game, and it was clear that he was going to be unstoppable against this Bears defense.
You knew coming into this game, 12 was going to be ready. He wants that NFC Championship game at home. He's been talking about that for years. He wants that game at home, and so you knew coming into this game against the Bears at Soldier Field, where a place he's had very much success in his career. You know he was going to be on fire, and like I said earlier, he started the game literally perfect. 158.3 passer rating, 155 yards, 10 attempts, 10 completions, 3 touchdowns, 15 yards per attempt. He was flawless in the first half, and after the MVS drop, he kind of got a little weird where it was just like a span of 4 or 5 plays where he threw 3 dropped interceptions. That was weird. I don't know what that was about, but he got back on track as the game went on and threw another touchdown to Devontae. That was a great throw, perfect, beautiful throw, right in between the numbers on a slant route. And what more can he say about Rodgers? He's going to win MVP, 3rd of his career. It's amazing. As being an Aaron Rodgers fan my entire life, I'm so happy that he's back to being the unstoppable force that he once was.
And with him and Devontae, enough can't be said. We've talked about it for probably hours total on this podcast, just how lethal they are as a duo. And we saw it again. The 1 touchdown pass at the end that got Devontae to 18, that throw was very, very underrated. Devontae makes an incredible move on Kyle Fuller to get in the end zone, a slant, little just stop and go type of move right at the line of scrimmage, completely just roasts Kyle Fuller. Rodgers just laser beams a ball right into the chest of Adams. And that's an underrated throw, and that's the stuff that you look at and just it's so impressive. The throw to Tunyon was incredible, of course. That one kind of off his back foot, throwing across his body right into the chest of Tunyon. Incredible. Obviously the MVS ball we talked about, awesome throw. And then the throw to Daphne as well. Daphne got wide open. So those 4 throws to me were really impressive and just so great to see the offense clicking without a guy like David Bakhtiari there for Rodgers. It was nice to see him still be comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, it's all season, man. It's all season. He's looked so comfortable. He's used to this offense. He's comfortable playing within this offense. And he's just that Tunyon touchdown. I can't stop watching that play from the end zone angle because it's literally you see him just looking to one guy, then looking to one guy. Oh, there's Tunyon. Let me just sling it across my body right in between the numbers. Perfect throw. And it's 6 points in between defenders. That play is beautiful. We're not getting the same level of highlight plays that we used to see from Rodgers, but that makes sense. The man's 37 years old. This is what he should be at this age. Just highly efficient, the most deadly accurate quarterback in the league. And it got him another MVP season. So that's really, really great to see. And then, like you said, losing Bakhtiari, let's talk about that now, the offensive line, because they played pretty freaking well without Bakhtiari, the best left tackle in football. Adam Stenavich has done a fantastic job with this offensive line because it doesn't even matter who comes in. It looks like they're all ready to go, and they all look like seasoned veterans out there.
Yeah, this group is definitely, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's really more about the sum of its parts, the unit itself. Really, you could have a guy that isn't a spectacular player like Bakhtiari in there, but the unit it brings the guy up. Whoever it is, it could be a not a great player, and the unit brings that one guy along for the ride of being just a really unstoppable force at the line of scrimmage. And that's benefited everybody. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, who, he was getting hit a little bit last week. And of course, that's a great Bears front with Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and Robert Quinn, and many others in there. Those are all pro-level players. But, Rodgers looked really comfortable. And it was impressive to see him take shots and make some of those throws that we saw. Plus, Aaron Jones in the running game, he didn't do a lot in the running game. But overall, I like the way we were running the ball early on. And what we saw from Aaron Jones in the passing game shows how truly valuable he is to this team. And it's just the offense overall is just clicking, regardless of who's in there, whether it's A.J. Dillon running the ball, whether it's Billy Turner on the left on the offensive line, whether it's Malik Taylor at wide receiver. Whoever's playing, it seems like the offense is clicking no matter what throughout the whole year.
Yeah, even when we lost Devontae Adams, the best receiver in football, the offense didn't skip a beat. It's just a seamless transition, no matter who's in the game, no matter who goes out of the game. And that continued on the offensive line this week. And Rodgers, like you said, didn't skip a beat. When he was blitzed, he was 4-4, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, the deep throw to MVS was a lot of that yardage. But seeing him stand tall in the pocket, willing to make a throw, knowing he's about to get hit, that's special stuff from number 12. We all know he sees the field as well as any quarterback in football. So putting him behind that offensive line in this very smart, efficient offense, it's unstoppable.
To put up 35 points on that Bears defense, it's just like really encouraging for us moving forward. And we talked about it, that just these performances, stringing them together like that is going to just give us all the momentum in the world. As we head into a potential game against a team like Tampa Bay, who beat us last time around, this gives us a good chance to carry momentum into really having a good shot to win that game. Let's move on to the defense here, Griff, because there was a lot of great things on that side of the ball. And number one thing for me, I'm going to point out is Christian Kirksey, because he had to come in, play a little bit more than he did last week. But both these two games now, these last two, he's been a little more explosive, a little more sound in his, what he's got to do, his responsibilities. And he's made a good number of plays here that make me more encouraged about where he's at as opposed to what he was playing like earlier in the year. Missing literally 2 years of football, and now he's getting back in the fold, and it seems like he's getting more comfortable as these games go on.
Yeah, I'm definitely cooling on Christian Kirksey. I'm not like he's not a detriment to the defense and what they're trying to do, especially when you pair him with a guy like Kamal Martin, who's so explosive and can pretty much do anything you ask of him on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, in general, the defense played very well. Mitch Trubisky is a horrible quarterback, but the Bears offense, they have put up 30 points in the past 4 games, albeit against horrible defenses, but at the very least, at least this tells us that this defense is not a horrible defense, because we locked up the Bears receivers pretty well. Allen Robinson went most of the game without a catch. He had one late in the fourth quarter, I believe, but most of the game, he was not targeted. He did not have any receptions, and Jair completely locked him down, as he does every week. That guy is a stud, all-pro cornerback right there. And then Darnell Savage, he continues to be great. And Adrian Amos was the real star of this game. Obviously, he had the game-ending interception twice now. He's played 2 games at Soldier Field as a Green Bay Packer, and twice now he's had the game-sealing interception. That's great to see. Little revenge game for Adrian Amos, and he had when he was targeted in this game, he had a 36.7 passer rating. He was locking fools down in the middle of the field, as he does for the past couple months or so. He's been really strong.
Yeah, he has, and same thing with Darnell. Of course, that one play to Darnell Mooney. Thinking about this season in general, those two guys have been playing so well that we've really limited a lot of the deep passing plays downfield. And it was almost kind of weird to see a successful one. And it was kind of encouraging because, like, oh yeah, we haven't seen that in a long time. And then you look like the third downs, and then they convert. The fourths and short, they convert. And then you look at the scoreboard, and they only finished with 16 points. That's all that really matters in the end. I mean, just to be able to hold them to field goals, and apart from that one touchdown in the beginning of the game, that's great stuff. I mean, this defense is doing more than enough for us to be able to win games right now. And I think, like you mentioned, Jair, of course, is the superstar on this defense. And we've got plenty of other stars as well that we've talked about. And we've got a new one in the fold, and his name is Damon Snacks Harrison. And he didn't play much, but when he did, he was disruptive, and he can really alter the line of scrimmage. And that's something that only Kenny Clark has been able to do since since Clark was here. In the past couple of years, we haven't had a guy that can really break through the line of scrimmage. And you saw it on Sunday. Snacks Harrison can do that. And that gives us a chance to really it'll give us an opportunity to not have the run defense be the fault of this team once again. And I think that just gives us a better chance to win it all, obviously.
Yeah, Snacks looked pretty good in his first game. He only had 12 snaps, but from what I saw, he looked pretty solid. Imagining him being in there as an actual starter with Kenny Clark, with Z Smith, with Preston, and maybe some Rashawn Gary, that looks really promising. Him playing nose, letting Kenny line up against a guard for once and not get double teamed, maybe letting him eat, and then Z on the edge and Preston and Rashawn on the edge as well. That looks pretty dangerous, and I'm excited for that. And like you said, that's going to really shore up our run defense and make sure that no one's able to run on us like San Fran was last year in the playoffs. But overall, this defense, it was the perfect example of a Mike Patton defense. Bend but don't break. He's okay with giving up these long drives. The Bears dominated time of possession. They had the ball for over 40 minutes in this game. But like you said, they only came away with 16 points. We were holding them to field goals, making sure they didn't get in the end zone. And that's Mike Patton is perfectly okay with playing that way. And when we're able to score on offense like the way we do, it's not going to be too much of an issue. All right, we're going to move on to a new segment here on the podcast called Quick Hitters. Any longtime listeners of the show may remember this from our very, very early episodes of the podcast, but it's basically we're going to put 3 minutes on the clock. I have a list of questions here to ask Bron, and Bron has a list of questions to ask me, and we're going to go back and forth, and we have 3 minutes to answer all these questions. So, Bron, you ready to go here?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, Griff, rank the Packers' potential playoff teams in the divisional round. Their opponents from easiest to hardest.
Chicago, Washington, LA, Tampa Bay.
Okay.
How many teams do you think are actual Super Bowl contenders in the AFC and NFC?
I'd go with 4. I'd say Buffalo and Kansas City from the AFC, and then I'd say Green Bay and New Orleans in the NFC.
Not Tampa Bay, not Seattle?
Yeah, Tampa Bay's offense scares me if it struggles. Give me the key for a Bears upset in New Orleans.
They got to pressure Drew Brees. I think they can. I think they have a good chance of pressuring him because he cannot throw, and especially when he's pressured. Who's the best wild card team, AFC or NFC?
I'd go with Baltimore. They're hot right now, and they could beat anybody.
That's a good answer. I don't know if they're better than Tampa Bay though.
Okay. Tell me who has the advantage between Seattle's offense and the Rams' defense.
Well, we've seen 2 games of that matchup, and the Seattle just cannot move the ball on LA. LA has a really good defense, but I think the key there is to get Tyler Lockett more involved, maybe take the top off him because DK is locked up by Jalen both games this season. Who do you think has the best chance to beat Green Bay in the playoffs?
It's between Tampa Bay and New Orleans. I'd go with New Orleans just because their running game could give us a lot of trouble.
I think in Green Bay, New Orleans has no shot. I think Tampa Bay does.
I could see where you think that, definitely with the frozen tundra. Now tell me which 5 seed will go further, the Ravens or the Buccaneers?
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers because I think Baltimore has a good chance of losing this week. Okay, here's a fun one. Should the Packers wear green or white in the Super Bowl?
Green.
Green. Yeah, I hope they have the choice because I would love the green jerseys.
All right, tell me the team that will lose in the playoffs because of bad quarterback play.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, the Bears are the easy answer. So are the football team because, I mean, I love Alex Smith, but he's not very good. And Mr. Trubisky obviously stinks. Phillip Rivers, he could choke, and so could Baker Mayfield. But I'm going to go with the Bears. I think they have the worst quarterback.
Okay.
Speaking of the Bears, do you think the Bears' playoff success should impact their decisions on Nagy and or Mitch Trubisky?
I hope it does. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. 30 seconds.
Okay, tell me the second best offense in the playoffs because we all know who the first is.
It's got to be Kansas City. They have the second best quarterback. Is the MVP Chris real?
No.
It's been like 20 years, Bron.
That doesn't. Nope, it's not real. We'll see this year.
Okay, next question.
Best defense in the NFC.
LA. How many interceptions will Russ throw at Lambeau Field?
7.
Okay, time's up.
Which 6 seed has the best chance to win in the wild card round?
Time's up, Bron.
Answer that question for me. Which 6 seed between Cleveland and the Rams? Who do you think is the better shot?
I don't know. I think they both lose, but probably the Rams. I think the Rams play a closer game. Well, I don't know. Cleveland, they could. I don't know how good the Steelers are. I don't know. It's going to be fun. Playoffs are going to be fun this year.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a chance to sit back and watch and just see who our opponent is next week. Watch these teams beat each other up we'll see what happens. And with that,
Matt LaFleur,
that's
Matt LaFleur, hang on. Matt LaFleur got the bye week in both of his first 2 years coaching the Packers, and no one's talking about it. How crazy!
he should be the coach of the year, but he won't, sadly.
Yeah, no chance, really. Like, no chance, no talk about him.
And with that, everybody, that's going to do it for our talk here about these playoffs and all the things that happened in this Bears game. But we're going to move on now to our interview with Dominique Daphne. All right, Dominique, thanks for coming on. Let's start with your journey to get to this point. You started community college and then transferred to the University of Iowa. And then you transfer again to Indiana State and finish your college career with a 244-yard performance, which was the fourth best in program history, which had to be a special moment for you. And then you go undrafted. A month goes by before you get signed, and then you then get cut 13 days later. Then you sign with the Packers in December. Now you're just a few games in, and you're becoming a key contributor on a team with Super Bowl aspirations. After all this, you score a touchdown in the biggest game of the season. So tell us how you felt in that moment after everything you've been through.
Well, I mean, if you watch if you watch the touchdown or whatever, and you see like the celebration, and I kind of like scream a little bit, that's like that was kind of like a moment of relief. Like all of that, everything of what you just said was like 5 years and some months of just straight perseverance, literally just working without really seeing an end goal or if this was even gonna work out at all. So it was kind of just that scream was pretty much like yeah, like it was all worth it in the end.
Yeah, you saw it in that spike too. That ball was thrown fast on the ground. I mean, that had to be a lot, just a lot of built up, just every emotion that you could possibly have going through your mind at that point. To have it all come to fruition like that had to be special for you.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it, but I look to the right when I'm on the ground because I'm like, wait, did I just score? It was kind of it was a crazy moment. I'm not gonna lie, and like the ball was coming to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's the ball. Like I'm like I better not fall to the ground because my legs just go dead because I'm so worried about the ball and making sure I catch it. So there was a lot going through my mind and heart was racing and just it was a great moment.
That's awesome. That's the coaches really seem to love to have you on the team. They're surprised they were able to find you so easily. Which room are you in? Like which position group are you with most of the time? Because LaFleur just calls you the F position, hybrid between a running back and a tight end. Which group do you spend the most time with?
No, I spend all my time with the tight ends.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
spend most of my time with Coach Jo in the tight end room.
What's Jo like for you? What's Justin Allen do for you as a great coach? Because the coaches talk about him as a guy that they're obviously excited to have on their staff. So what's he done for you as a football player in terms of your not only your play on the field but also what you do inside the locker room, inside the classroom even.
Well, first of all, he's a very good motivational speaker. Like he will literally get you to run through a wall, and I'm literally not saying that like to be dramatic. Like he is very good at like before the game or like literally the day before the game. You're like you could have waited, like because now I want to play. But like he's really good at that, and then he's made the transition to obviously I have never played tight end or fullback, so he's made the transition a lot easier. Like he's really just helpful, just telling me like, hey, anytime you have a question, whether it's big or small or anything, like you text me just right away. Like you will not be, I won't be mad if you text me like 12 times a day or whatever, just random questions. Like just ask me, just because he wants me to be great. He wants the whole room to be great, and just we kind of have that like bond in the room where like I call him Jo, I don't call him coach, where it's just like we're all here to be great. Like he wants to be a head coach one day, which he will be, and we all want to be like Sadie's 15 years in our seat or in our career where we can look back and be like, yeah, we did something special.
Speaking of Mercedes, I was going to ask you about that. How it seems like he's like pretty much the entire team's favorite teammate. They all love him. They call him Big Dog. What is it like being in the same room as him, a 15-year vet, like you said? Just what does he bring to the locker room every week?
Uh, that's the sensei right there. Like that's the best way I can describe it. Like when he talks, like everyone listens. like a pin drops and you can hear it because he knows like 15 years, that's not easy. Like that's not a
Right.
lot of people can do that. So when he talks, everybody listens because like everyone respects him. We all got love for him. We all have his back because we know he has ours, and we know like he drops knowledge like every day. Like he's like literally he is the sensei. So every time he speaks, I'm like pen in hand, ready to write down what he has to say because I know he knows what he's doing. So I mean that's why everyone loves him because he comes with energy, he comes with physicality every day, every practice, and like we know that he has our back for sure.
Dominique, I want to talk to you a little bit more about, what it took for you to get to where you are today. I just, through all the times where you could have doubted that you would get where you're at now, how were you able to stay focused and achieve the goals that you're achieving?
Well, it wasn't easy. I'll be honest. 2020. I mean, there are a lot of times 2020 almost won over the summer.
Mm.
Like there were like obviously waking up and just having to work out and stay in shape with like we were just working out and they were like how there was like that time where we really didn't know what was going to happen. There wasn't any workouts. They weren't bringing people in for workouts and like we had no idea when that was going to open up or when anything was going to happen. So like there was a lot of times where I'm just waking up and I'm like what are we doing here? Like where is this going? Like is this going anywhere? Like and there was a couple of weeks, couple months went by and like I just heard nothing. So it was tough, but it was just that internal drive as well as my family and friends just continuously pushing me to just keep working and just stay on the grind because like you never know like what happened with me. You never know when they're going to give you a call to come back, and you never know what's going to happen. So you just have to stay ready for when that opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that had to be hard for, you, of course, especially a guy being undrafted with all the uncertainty around that. And really every player that's playing, just the challenges of staying motivated and all the things that come with that. Another thing I want to talk to you about is just the way guys speak about you, especially in these last few weeks when you've really made your presence felt. When you hear guys like Coach Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers talk about you, they always emphasize how the moment isn't too big for you, that you can handle a lot on your plate, you know that you belong, things like that. I mean, what about you gives you the ability to have that kind of mindset in a situation where, like you mentioned, you could easily have a hard time transitioning to the NFL and it could have been a challenge, a real hard challenge.
I'd say like having to have sit at home for like that first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Obviously, I knew if I was going to get the opportunity, like I was going to take advantage of it, whatever they needed me to do, I was going to come in and work extremely hard to stay because that was my mentality. As soon as I get wherever I'm going, I'm not coming back home. Like there's no coming home after that. That was kind of my mentality, and I had to like go up fast. So I had to put a lot more work into just learning the playbook as well as just watching film and everything. So I mean, when you do all that and you just put all the work in, when you get onto the field, that's the easy part. You do it every day in practice, thousands of reps at it in practice, and after that, watching film, and when you get on the field, like you know what you're supposed to do. It's secondhand. Like you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, like Bron was saying, it seems like a lot of the coaching staff and a lot of the players are very very happy to have you on the squad. Specifically, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams have spoken about you and how versatile you can be. And it's like Rodgers and Adams this season have been probably the two best players at their respective positions. Uh, Even though you've only been here a couple months, what have you learned from them? What do they bring to the huddle every week? What's like the biggest lessons that you've learned being around two masters at their crafts?
Well, from 12, definitely learn how to be a professional for sure, how to get in the book, how to with his mind is so crazy because he his football IQ is just like through the roof. So like when you just being around him, you're gonna learn, you're gonna pick up some things, and you're gonna see some tendencies of defenses, and you're just like you're going to be a better player simply from just being around him. So him coaching me up on routes as well as on scramble drills and stuff like that, and just how to be a pro and how to go about it, and just things you should visualize during the week, like making plays and just believing in the moment and believing yourself in the moment that and that like you can fall back on your training, and that everything you're working for is going to be like it's going to be there for you when you're in that moment ready to make a play. And then 17, I mean, you see his route running.
Yeah.
He's tough. I mean, just being able to watch him at practice, you pick up some of his. Obviously, I don't know if I could do it as well as he could do it, but definitely pick up some of the things he does, and just it's just so fluid, and everything. His movements are just so smooth, and it's just whenever he gives the receivers tips on how to run a route or stuff, like I'm listening, like I'm sitting right next to him, so I'm writing down exactly what he says, because obviously like that's kind of the blueprint right there for running routes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with those two guys specifically, what's the most interesting interaction that you've had, or just a funny story that you've had with those two guys since you've got to Green Bay?
I would say, we were in practice one day, and it was just like I think it was at the beginning of practice, and so we were just like doing a walkthrough, or it might have been at the end. Like it was a light tempo day. We just had on helmets, and I had like just a little middle read route type, and 12 throws it, and I was jogging, and I saw he threw it, and I was like, oh, so I picked up my speed a little bit and like caught it one handed, and it just stuck to my glove. And he goes over, he's like, dude, why do you make the most dramatic catches every day? Like, what do you just had it in your hand and you're just looking at it. He's like, you make the most dramatic catches that I've ever seen. I'm like, I just smile, because I'm like, obviously you say that, I'm gonna be ear to ear grinning. So that was that made me laugh. But I mean, there's always small small things that go on through the building as well as at practice, and it's fun to interact with dudes who are like in a lot of people's eyes like icons, they're idols. So I mean, it's fun to be able to interact with them on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's so funny because yesterday he mentioned how, talking about you, he said, this guy's making plays in practice that like these crazy plays in practice every week. And he's like, maybe we got to get this guy on offense a little bit more. And of course, we saw what you did in that game on Sunday, catching a touchdown. So that's an interesting story.
You talk about Rodgers being an icon. Me and Bron, we've grown up Packer fans our whole lives. Rodgers literally has been like our childhood hero almost, and he's probably the most popular man in Wisconsin. So, was there any level of starstruckedness joining him, being at practice with him for the first time, and like catching a touchdown from him last week? Was there any level of that from you?
I mean, oh, absolutely. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I bet.
For itself. So I mean, like when I first got here and I'm practicing, and like you see him, the throws he makes, like on Sunday, he does it every day. So you're just standing behind him and you're just like watching him throw. I'm like, that's Aaron Rodgers right there. Like that's not normal. It was just like it just, you know what I mean? Just like clicked one day. I'm like, that's Aaron Rodgers. Like that's
Yeah.
we're watching Aaron Rodgers practice right now. Like that was kind of crazy for me. I was just like, wow, like it's kind of real. And so it was a real moment where I'm sitting behind Aaron Rodgers just watching him throw, doing the sidearms, no looks and all that. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I bet. I bet that is pretty crazy. I imagine you've known who he was for a long time, so watching him at practice, I'm sure was pretty stunning. But I want to talk about last week against the Bears, because a lot of these rookies, they talk about the welcome to the NFL moment. And right after your touchdown catch in the ensuing kickoff, you laid a hit on Cordero Patterson. That was like I was like, oh, that's the guy. That's Dominique Daphne, the guy who just caught that touchdown. Was that the hardest hit you've ever laid? Because like you could hear it on the television, empty stadium, and echoed throughout the stadium. I bet. Was that the hardest hit you've ever laid?
It's definitely up there, because
Yeah.
I didn't realize how hard it was until someone sent me the video, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounded like a home run shot to deep middle, like that.
They did, yeah.
It's just like I started laughing while I was watching. I'm like, I didn't realize it was that hard. Like obviously we're two bigger dudes colliding, so it's going to be some sort of collision. But the noise is what made me like I just laugh every time I watch it.
And that had to be crazy because you're coming off that touchdown, and like Griff said, all that adrenaline from that score, you use that on special teams, and I think that's one of the reasons why the coaches really love you so much is because you bring it, and not just on offense when you get in. You're a special teams guy, and you saw it right there. You had a tackle last week, the week prior as well. So that that's impressive, and the coaches, of course, love that when you go and make a touchdown on offense and then come back and make a hit on one of the league's better returners. So that's truly impressive.
I mean, yeah. Well, obviously, I went to Iowa, so special teams was a must. Like you like when you were a freshman, like that's your way on the field was special teams, and that's something we harped on a lot. So it was kind of like my thing when I was at Iowa, of course. So I definitely took that same mentality to here with like special teams is a way that you're going to stick around for a while. So you have that same, that same intensity as you would if you were starting on offense to all four phases of special teams.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of talking about that a little bit also, I want to know what Matt LaFleur and your other coaches have described your role as to you in this offense and also as a special teamer.
I would say like kind of like okay, I don't know how to say it, but like the best way to explain it is like a Ron Artest slash Dennis Rodman. Like you have to do like the dirty work. Like I'm sift blocking, I'm lead blocking on runs, pretty much. I'm out on the perimeter blocking, like tackling on kickoff. Like you have to do the little stuff. Like that's kind of my role. I don't know. They never really told me what my role is, but like seeing it and being in the like playing in 5 games, like I've noticed like that's kind of my role. Like just do the dirty work, do like the little things that I have to do to, maybe create a hole for Aaron Jones or create like on the perimeter block in the game for his bubble. Like just kind of do those little things to make the team better and just those little things that not a lot of people would notice, but just that's kind of I would say that's probably my role on the team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is a position that LaFleur, I believe, values pretty heavily because he drafted Josiah DeGuara in the third round this year. Then he goes out with a knee injury, unfortunately. And then he brings in John Lovett, and he goes out with a knee injury as well. And then we pick you up, and you're kind of having that same role. And I know you played receiver in college, so is this like your first experience lining up at fullback, doing the lead blocking stuff like you mentioned? Do you have any experience with that, or how foreign is it?
Um, well, I mean, I don't know how well this counts, but the Little League would have been the last time.
Little league?
Like fourth or fifth grade, maybe. It was the
Wow.
last I ever did any type of lead blocking like that or putting my hand in the dirt at all. So, yeah, it's been it's definitely it's been a little foreign. I won't lie, but I mean, obviously, like everybody else, like I want to play. Like I want to play on offense. I want to play on special teams. So, like whatever they tell me to do, like I'll be like, all right, like that's fine. Just give me a couple reps at it and let's go. Like let's do it.
That's great.
On that note, what does it mean to you when Devonte Adams calls you one of the most versatile guys he's been around, especially considering how versatile Adams is himself?
I mean, when I saw that definitely it meant a lot to me because to me, I've always said like since he's been in the league, he was one of the best receivers and route runners in the league. So to hear from that guy himself to like say I'm a versatile guy that he's seen, like that definitely like it was awesome. I mean, those are the type of guys that you look up to. So that for them to have that type of positive outlook on you, it's just like it's what you work for. To be honest, like it's everything that you dream of.
That's great, and obviously you two are uh, looking to help the Packers make a little bit of a Super Bowl run here in the playoffs. So you get the first seed, you get the bye week. During the season, during the bye week, I believe the players get the whole week off. But what are you guys doing this week? Are you guys in meetings still? Are you on Zoom? Are you showing up to practice?
We still have obviously we can't just take the week off. That wouldn't
Yeah,
that wouldn't
I
be fair.
imagine.
But I mean, yeah, we meetings and some lifts and workouts, just to keep the body right. We'll practice a couple times, 2 or 3 times this week, as well as just keep meeting. Keep trying to get better. I mean, that's pretty much what we can do with this week is get our bodies right as well as get our minds right for whoever we're about to play next. Because obviously we don't know until Monday technically because we don't know like what is it the lowest seed that we play. So
Yeah.
Yep.
for right now, it's just we're just still trying to stay as normal as possible in a bye week.
So, what about this team as a whole do you think gives you confidence that it can win playoff games, get to the Super Bowl, and potentially win it?
I just feel like everybody on this team kind of has the mentality of just to get it done, like we stick together really well. Like we ride the ups and downs together. Like a lot of people could put their head down or try to separate from the squad, but I feel like everybody is kind of like we're conjoined and we're like a team. Like I feel like it's a very close team. I feel like we all got love for each other. I feel like we all want it like just as bad as each other. So we stick together really well, and I feel like we're as well as we're having that good momentum at like the right time, because obviously momentum in any type of professional sport, like that's kind of like half the battle. Like if you're clicking at the right times, like you can be dangerous.
And you talk about how close you are with some of your teammates and how close the team is in general. I'm wondering, what players have you really connected with most this season, especially getting ingrained a little bit later, and who's kind of guided you along the way?
Um, well, obviously when I was first here, like the practice squad guys, we kind of have our little locker room. So like we're all pretty good friends, and we talk to each other a lot, and just because like we're locker mates, so like we're sitting right next to each other, we're hanging out. So that's obviously it's tough because people are in and out every other week. So you might see a guy today, you might not see him tomorrow. So, but I mean, like I definitely spend a lot of time with practice squad guys, as well as like Bob and Lazard. Those dudes have definitely taken me under their wing. OB has definitely been helpful on special teams, as well as Ty. So those
Mm.
guys have definitely been helpful to like just take me under their wing and like let me know like just what it is to like to be a pro. Like how do you study? Like how do you watch film? Like what do you need to like just how to transition from college to NFL? Obviously, it's a big jump, and it's a lot mentally. It's not that much like different physically because I mean it's still football, but it's the mental aspect that they definitely have come and taken me under the wing and helped me out with.
You talk about the amount of selfless players on the squad. That's something Rodgers talks about all the time. Inside the building, what's kind of the message inside 1265 Lombardi? What's the vibe like? Are you kind of thinking about the Super Bowl, that it could actually happen, that you got the 1 seed in the NFC and you're 2 games away from it? What are you doing to stay focused throughout the playoffs?
Well, I can't give you all the
You
can't
can't give me the inside information.
give you all the stuff, but no, it's definitely it's a positive vibe. We understand what position we're in. It's not like you don't get not everyone gets to the playoffs every year, and not everyone gets the first round bye. So like we understand what position that we're in, and we understand what we're trying to gain off this season, what the end goal is. That's the end goal for everybody, and we are in the driver's seat right now. We definitely understand that. So the vibe is good. I mean, everyone's up tempo. We're all smiling, happy, but as well as we're focused and ready and realize that we need to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, one week at a time. Because it's still the NFL. Regardless, all only good teams are left. So it's gonna be tough games every week, and nothing's gonna be given, nothing's gonna be easy. So we obviously understand we're in a really good position, but we also understand like it's gonna take every ounce of energy that we have.
Talk to us a little bit about, having that 1 seed, the home field advantage. Even though, of course, there's no fans yet, we may see some in the playoffs, potentially. But for now, there's no fans, so that obviously diminishes things. But of course, everybody knows about the frozen tundra, the cold, the snow, the weather. How do you guys embrace that, and what do you think that is for teams coming in to have to play you guys in the playoffs?
I mean, let's be honest, playing in the cold is tough for anybody. So I mean, the fact that we get to be at home and we get like we're used to it. So there are a lot of teams that are still playing like they're located in warm places. So you have to come through Lambeau in the cold with no fans and try and beat us on our home field. Like that's not easy because I mean playing in the cold it hurts. it definitely
Yeah.
hurts. Like when you hit the ground, when you get tackled, anything, it hurts. So the fact that you have to come and kind of have to get ready for it mentally and physically, like it could take a toll on you. And we're kind of used to it, so we're trying to use that as an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look around the NFC, teams from Tampa, LA, Seattle, New Orleans, they play in a dome. It's definitely not something they want to do, I'm sure. That's going to do it here, Dominique. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and good luck throughout the playoff run.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Dominique. It was great having you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That was great stuff. He's a cool guy.
He's got a high character. He seems like a guy that everybody respects around the building, including he's getting respect from some of the best players in football, and as well as the head coach too, who's super excited to have him. He's a great guy. It was a great interview. Great to talk to him, and I'm excited about what he could do for this team in that H back role, that F role, as Matt LaFleur likes to call it. So I'm excited for him, and of course I'm excited for where this team is headed.
He could be a real weapon down the stretch. I mean, we saw some flashes of what Josiah DeGuara could have done in this offense before he got hurt, unfortunately. But maybe LaFleur gets more and more creative with our friend Daphne, friend of the pod.
Yeah, he is now, and I think that we haven't seen that H back role really get utilized in the passing game much, and for him to catch a touchdown against Chicago was a pretty big deal for him, and obviously for what we want to do on offense. So yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it was great to talk to him.
It was, and it was great talking to you, Bron, as it always is. Thanks everyone for listening. That's gonna do it for the podcast. Be back next week. We'll be previewing the Bucks, the football team, the Bears, or the Rams. We'll see. It's gonna be a fun weekend of football. Super wild card weekend. I like how they're promoting it. A super wild card weekend. But that's gonna do it. Thanks so much for listening, and go Pack, go.
Thanks for talking with me, Griffin. Enjoy the bye week, everybody. Go Pack, go.